it, and it keeps me nice and mellow and where I feel like I like to be at. So it's cool. And it really relaxes me.
Medicine, and it's safer for you than wine. It's healthier for you than wine. So I'm a canna mom too. Of course, use the plant. And I also have had extensive conversations with my son about it because my son is 19. And so just making him understand, like, the world sees it this way, but this is what it is. So, we live in a 420 friendly household.
Listen, I love it. So, that's really good. So that's cool.
I know there's a lot of chemicals that go into like cigarettes and cigars, but with marijuana, is that not the case? It's just more natural.
Well, for one, it is, but today you have people that are mass producing and not really putting so much care into the cultivation. So it really depends on who's growing it. But overall, cannabis it's a medicinal herb, honestly. And so when you get into the history of the plant, you realize that it was outlawed for two reasons. For one, it's natural medicine. We live in a country that's fueled by pharmaceutical drugs. And for two, it was a very easy way to put Black men in prison. So that's literally why it was outlawed. And it kind of was like the catalyst for the prison industrial complex. So it gets deep.
It's interesting. One thing that I've noticed with weed is how it went from being like this super thugged out, like shady drug to now it's like a luxury experience. Yeah. You can have it delivered to your door. It looks like the Apple store.
It absolutely.
All right. So this is the Millionaire Talk Show. My name is Charles Oglesby with my co-host Michelle Welch. This is her third episode, so shout out to that. Third episode in the same day, and we're trucking along. But thank you guys all for tuning in to the podcast. The purpose of the show is to share the stories of successful African-American business owners and investors so that people can hear the stories of successful examples, because they do exist. We want people to learn the business and investing and the true keys to financial success and generational wealth. And with us today, we have Keba Richardson, who is a e-com specialist. She is also specializes in CBD, and she's doing some really cool things with Shopify and just online businesses. And so you guys are going to learn a lot, and we're going to learn a lot. So welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
We are happy to have you.
Yes. The first question we always ask people is, well, actually, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Where should y'all want the short version, or should I tell the you want the full?
I want the whole story. I want to know what makes you.
So I born and raised in Riverdale, Georgia. My family is from Los Angeles, though. So my parents came here in the 80s. Always had the entrepreneurial spirit, but went to college, kind of followed what we were taught in school. Got my degree in business economics, and literally like senior year, last semester, I was just like, there's no way I'm going to corporate America. Like, I'm not doing it. So by nature, I come from a big family. I have 5 sisters. I was always like the household hairstylist, doing everybody's hair, doing my friends' hair. So after college, I decided I did not want to go to grad school to get my master's in business. And I went to cosmetology school so I could enter into entrepreneurship. Everybody thought I was crazy, thought I was wasting my time, wasting my degree. But I knew that the hair industry was $1 billion industry and that it was recession and technology proof. So that was why I said, okay, I'm going to get into this first. I knew it wasn't what I wanted to do long term, but I just wanted a way to work for myself. So became a hairstylist. I specialized in natural hair. That's all of my clients came to me pretty much for silk presses. That was my specialty. And I gave myself 2 years. I was like, I'll do hair for 2 years. And then I'm just going to have faith that in that time, I will figure out my path. So during that time frame, I really got into health and wellness for myself. Really got into like wanting to become plant-based, doing research around just changing my lifestyle, eating clean. So I used to educate my clients on how to eat healthier to promote hair growth. So it turned into my hair clients like asking me, well, can you make me a meal plan? Can you come to the store with me to show me how I need to shop? So I started noticing more people coming to me for health and wellness. And I was also documenting my lifestyle change on social media. So that started to take precedence over me actually being a stylist. I went from making meal plans and creating like small digital products. I would do like health and wellness challenges. Probably my most popular was my 21-day vegan challenge. So I slowly moved away from taking care of clients and focused all the way on holistic health and wellness, helping people lose weight and reverse chronic ailments through plant-based eating and, you know, different herbs and things like that. So that was what I was doing for a while online. I really got into the digital marketing world and introduced to it in 2015, learning about marketing funnels and things like that. So I feel like cannabis really falls into the category of plant-based medicine. But how I made the pivot into this space was me just going through like a spiritual awakening journey. I became like a true cannabis user in 2014. I broke my ankle. We had a snowstorm here in Atlanta and I had to get surgery, a metal plate, screws, still have it in my ankle to this day. And I was prescribed Vicodin and like Percocets and I couldn't take it. It like made me feel sick to my stomach. So I was smoking weed the whole time. Like it took like 4 months for me to recover from this injury. And during that time is when my health and wellness business really started taking off. I was documenting the whole time I was on bed rest. Hey, I'm juicing. This is what I'm juicing today. I was watching documentaries, like reading books about holistic health and wellness. And so I really, once I fully recovered, focused on just being able to educate people better. So I made the pivot into cannabis after like going through a spiritual journey throughout my time as an entrepreneur, trying to find my lane. You know, I would be in certain circles and I never felt like I could be myself. I felt kind of bad that I did like smoking weed. So I would try to make myself stop. And finally, one day I just said, let me educate myself about this. And the moment I started doing research and realized, okay, we've all been kind of bamboozled and duped to believe that this is something bad. But, you know, it traces all the way back to ancient Kemet, like one of the safest, oldest forms of medicine. So I decided, like, you know, I knew from being a holistic health coach how many health issues Black people suffer from, and especially Black women. So I was like, you know, I need to really let it be known that this is a natural form of medicine that we can use. So probably around 2016, I'm like, man, I would love to have an online dispensary. But once I started really doing my research on the politics around the marijuana side of cannabis, because hemp and CBD is cannabis too. A lot of people don't know that, but the cannabis plant has two different sides. You have marijuana and THC-based products, and you have hemp, CBD, and all of the other cannabinoids that are non-psychoactive that don't get you high. So my goal was to really have an online dispensary. I'm like, I want to create strains that will help Black women with different health issues, womb issues, and things like that. Then realize, okay, you got to have a lot of money to get into like cultivating. Like it's very expensive. This is why you do not see many Black people in this space. So the Farm Bill ended up passing that made CBD and hemp federally legal everywhere in the United States. So I started getting deeper into learning about CBD and hemp. And I started the Pretty Women Love Cannabis brand, which in the beginning, it was just really to educate and raise awareness. I was like, I'm only going to do digital products and kind of start doing retreats and things like that. But once I started educating people about CBD, naturally, people started being like, well, where can I buy it from? Where's a good place to buy it? And I was literally referring people out. Then something was like, Keba, stop doing that. Like, I happen to have built a relationship with two Black-owned cannabis companies that are on like a multi-million-dollar level. And I had built a relationship with one of the two, which is Gas House, because the owners are based in Atlanta. So I'm like, let me reach out to them and see if I can get plugged in with the hemp and CBD. So basically got plugged in with the highest quality. Like they really have some of the highest quality hemp and CBD products because they're master cannabis cultivators. And from there, this was like 2020, like March of 2020. So I never really had the desire to be in e-commerce. I'm like, I'm a digital person. I like digital products and services. I like courses. I like ebooks, things that I can do the work one time and it's done. But decided to step into e-commerce with physical products. And literally, I started my store with no website. I sent an email to my existing email list, and we went from zero to like $10,000 in sales in 30 days. And by the next month, I was like, okay, we heard me get a website up. by month 2, it was like over 20K in sales, and it just kept going from there. And it's just been a wild journey. It's been amazing. You know, I get testimonials like literally every day from people just being like, thank you. This is life-changing for me. It's helping me get off of medications. And so it's been a really great space for me to be in. I love it. I love being able to introduce people that look like me to something that is natural. You know, a lot of people don't know this, but the average Black woman has like 3 to 7 chronic ailments by the time she's 30, 35. 3 to 7 chronic ailments that she's going to be dealing with at one time. So I'll have people reach out and say, I need CBD for this. And then they'll come back later and say, oh my God, it's helping me with XYZ too. Mm-hmm. I was just on a call with somebody and she was telling me how she started using it for insomnia, and she ended up being able to get off of all of her medications for diabetes. So it's been a dope journey. Yeah.
That's so amazing. That's wow. Kudos to you.
That's how I got into it. It was just a progression, I think, from being in the plant-based healing space.
So CBD, I don't know what CBD is. What is CBD?
So CBD is short for cannabidiol, right? This, just like THC, is the initials for one of the cannabinoids that's found in the marijuana side of the hemp plant. So CBD is a cannabinoid. Cannabinoids are, to put it in lay terms, you can think of a cannabinoid almost like an essential oil that's extracted from the plant. Mm. So the cannabis plant has hundreds of cannabinoids. The most popular are THC and CBD. Whereas the marijuana plant you find THC in abundance, but you don't really find CBD in marijuana. Sometimes you can, but it's not as common. The hemp side of the plant, this is where the CBD is found in abundance. So the CBD is extracted from the hemp plant.
Isn't hemp like the stem of the weed?
No, so
like flower.
Hemp plant looks just like a marijuana plant.
Yeah.
However, the difference is marijuana is psychoactive. It gets you high. It's intoxicating. You know, it impairs your mind. You know, you get munchies, your eyes get red, all the kind of things that go along with being high. Which, if you're a stoner, you're into weed, that's what you love. Hemp, however, gives you the healing benefit. So it's going to help you with pain, insomnia, inflammation, stress, anxiety, depression, but it's not going to get you high. So you will not get munchies, your eyes aren't going to get red, and it's non-addictive.
Do you ingest it or do you like rub it on your body?
Oh no, you can smoke it, you can vape it, you can do gummies. I'll show you guys some products. Bath bombs, lollipops.
That's so funny that you don't know anything about this.
I'll show you guys a nugget of hemp.
Yeah, let's check it out.
All right, it looks just like marijuana, y'all. Smells almost identical. So literally, so this is hemp right here.
That's crazy.
This is hemp. And so I'll literally have people like, are you sure this isn't weed? I'm like, I'm positive it's not weed. So you can smoke it. Like, you can literally roll up a hemp flower joint, a CBD pre-roll. You can do tinctures, which that's an oil that you drop under your tongue. You can do it in capsule form. So really everything you can do with marijuana, you can do the same thing with hemp. So like you can make hemp brownies, and you know, you're gonna feel it. CBD tea is so many different ways in which you can consume it, but you can also do topicals as well. It really just depends on what you're looking for. So I don't really have people that are into cannabis culture on the marijuana side come to me. I typically have people who really have health issues, like they're struggling, they're in pain, they can't sleep, high blood pressure, things like that. So smoking may not be their preference. So they may want to do a tincture, do capsules, or do like the gummies. Women love gummies and edibles.
Yeah.
That's really dope. That's cool. You're talking about the tinctures, and I'm looking over at my desk and I have a CBD liquid.
Yes.
And I do it because I have rheumatoid arthritis and I have fibromyalgia. So, and I'm almost 30 and I'm African-American. So it's like everything that you're saying comes through with that. And that's a big reason too, why I do CBD and I'm a canna mom, because I'm always in pain. And it's like, I'm not a person to be on pills and stuff like that. I have too much to do throughout the day. So definitely. And you educating women on that it's okay. Like I remember a couple years ago, like as a woman saying that you smoked, it was kind of like, oh, that's dirty. Like, why are you doing that? Like, ew. And it's just like, you don't understand. Like, it's a different
people
feeling.
Literally, and I'm gonna come back to you having rheumatoid arthritis too, because my mom has rheumatoid arthritis. But when I first decided to get into this space, you know, I had to really step into my authenticity, and it was scary because it was something that people really didn't know about me. Like, you didn't know I was a real smoker unless you knew me. Like, it was something I never talked about, posted. You wouldn't ever see me out doing it. And I was talking to a friend of mine. His name is Chin. He goes by the Millionaire Barber. And I was telling
him, I know him.
You know, Chin.
Yeah, I met him at a conference.
I don't really want to be out there though. I don't want people to know I do it. And he's like, Keba, you gotta be the face of this. You gotta be the queen of cannabis. Like, you have to let it be known. That's how you're gonna make other women feel okay with it. And so I just said, you know what, you're right. Let me show up doing what I do. And when I tell you guys, the majority of my customer base, they had never smoked anything. But when you're in pain, when you've been on medications and nothing is working, it's like, I'm willing to try it. And so I honestly sell more flower and smokable products than anything.
And that's awesome. I think that's great. Making it a safe space for women.
Right.
Because definitely, like, I didn't express that I smoked because I was like, well, I'm in this profession and I've, you know, grew my brand by being the mom entrepreneur. Like, what are people going to think? And it's like, majority of people actually smoke weed. They just don't say it. Feel the same way.
God. Yeah. When I tell you everybody smokes, I have people from every walk of life, nurses, doctors, lawyers, teachers, administrators, everybody smokes. That's what I found. All races, colors, ages, everybody smokes. Yeah. My neighbors that live next door to me, a couple that they're probably in their 70s and they smoke. It's like everybody does it, but it's one of the best things for chronic ailments, for autoimmune diseases. Yep. Both of my parents have autoimmune diseases. My dad has severe multiple sclerosis. My mom has severe rheumatoid arthritis. She's had to have both of her knees replaced. And she got diagnosed when she was my age. And my mom, for in terms of like eating healthy and maintaining her weight, she's never had issues there, but she lived a lifestyle that was very stressful. And so high levels of stress, not sleeping. You know, we live in an environment where the water is toxic. A lot of the food that we eat is full of artificial ingredients. So this is where you find a lot of people getting autoimmune diseases at a very young age. And my mother decided to get off of all of her medications because when she started researching the side effects, it's like, the medicine will kill me, like literally. So she takes an all-natural approach, and so does my dad. My dad solely relies on cannabis to maintain his symptoms for MS.
When you are smoking cannabis for these ailments, is it healing you, or is it just allowing you to kind of go through this without the pain?
No, it's healing because we have more receptors in our body for cannabis than we do for any other natural compound. You have receptors in your brain. You have your CB1 and CB2 receptors, which process the THC in cannabis. Then you have receptors all throughout your body, your lungs, your gut, your respiratory system for women, your uterus, your bone marrow, your spleen. These receptors are everywhere. And so this is a compound we're supposed to have in our body. You don't have to smoke if that's not your preference, but if you're smoking like me, when I smoke, I'm only using hemp or rice papers, never tobacco. So it's not harmful. There has never been a death associated with cannabis, and there's never been a diagnosis of cancer from smoking cannabis. If you're using like methods, never. Really? And there's no proof or no kind of proof that it's a gateway drug. That's just what we've been told. But literally not a death ever in history. And it's humanly impossible to overdose on cannabis. Like how you overdose on other illicit drugs. And this is why cannabis should never have been placed in the same category with heroin, with crack and things like that really have no healing benefits. So when you see what's happening in the cannabis industry, you realize that it's so much hypocrisy, because how is this a Schedule I drug, but now people are making millions of dollars in certain states?
Billions.
Nobody looks like us. All right. Nobody.
That's crazy.
That is
like
black
representation in the legal cannabis space.
Yeah. An industry that was once dominated by a certain set of people is now they've been completely ousted out of it, which is interesting. But you found your way in, and how does that work? Because I know you help people get into the business. What does that look like?
And that was one of my main goals. When I started the store, I had people reaching out to me immediately, like, hey, I want to get into CBD, but I said, I want to give myself a year. Let me make sure I can rinse and repeat my own strategy before I share with other people. But that was the mindset. It's very expensive, damn near impossible to get into it. On the THC and marijuana side, you have to have millions of dollars to get into this space. Liquid too, okay? So with CBD though, and with e-commerce, I'm like, anybody can get in like this. And I know most people go straight to brick and mortar when they think about a CBD store. Me being a digital person, I'm like, no, you can cut down your overhead costs. You're going to have way higher profit margins, more freedom, more flexibility. And even if you do desire to have your own grow and to start your own farm, you can get in on the CBD side, run it up with your online store, and then take the resources and, invest in getting into the THC side of cannabis. So that's my goal, to help more people that look like me really get into this space. CBD is already $1 billion industry, and like between 2020 and now, it like skyrocketed, like more than quadrupled in sales.
Wow.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations on all those wins and being an authority in a space, brand voice, and just the whole aspect of taking over and having brand authority is so important, especially in the space that you're in. So kudos to you. I think that's really dope. And so when you're educating people that want to get into the industry, are you also educating them like on the legal side of things? Because I know I would imagine it could get messy if you don't really know the business aspect of it, like the foundational aspect. So do you teach on that as well? Like, do you cover those things?
And it's the thing about it is, everything varies by state. So I'm big on giving you the foundational, but you really have to know what's going on in the state that you're in. And to be honest, it's really right now, it's a huge gray area. CBD is like in the same space right now as herbs and supplements. So it's a very gray area. It's not really heavily regulated like that right now. So I feel like this is like the best time to get into it, because who knows, they could change all kind of laws once they, who knows, once they see like, okay, people are making a lot of money with this online, they may change. Oh, you need this, you need that. So it does vary from state to state, but it's definitely easier to get into it this way than it is, the other way.
Yeah. It's interesting because I'm looking at your page and you showcase yourself like kind of in your authenticity. And I don't know if you would have done that if you hadn't kind of given yourself permission to be true to yourself. Like you're holding the blunt, or not the blunt, holding the paper, you're smoking the paper. But like, I feel like that has to improve the relatability of your brand, and people connect to it more, as opposed to you just trying to be something that you're not. Isn't that crazy?
It is. I honestly believe, as an entrepreneur, showing up as your authentic self, that's the secret sauce to having a successful brand in business. And that's one of the main things people say to me. Oh, I just was drawn to your page because you just keep it so real. Like, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. People were literally asking me when I first got into this space, like, are you sure you want to be on social media smoking? Like, you may ruin opportunities, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, listen, what's meant for me is for me. Like, this is the space that I'm in. I actually went and got the leaf tattooed on my wrist, so you know what time it is.
I saw that.
When you see me, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm going to let it be known what I do. I could be in a professional crowd. You're good. I'm going to talk about it, because people, to be honest, everybody should be using CBD. Everybody should be having cannabis in their system in some way. We would not have hundreds of receptors in our body for this if we were not supposed to have it. So I want to make it normal. Just like smoking a cigarette is normal. Drinking liquor is normal. Smoking cigars. This is normal. Eating unhealthy food. This is all normal, and it can kill you. And I'm like, this is something that is not harmful, right? It's good for us. And it helps with so many different things, like literally hundreds of chronic ailments. So I find that the people that are the most, what's the word I want to use? People that judge the most and have a really negative look on it, they really need it the most. That's what I found. They probably have the most health issues, the most unhappy, not sleeping well, in pain. But it's just, we were bamboozled.
Need some weed.
The worst thing ever. Like,
right.
I remember growing up, it was like I saw my brother doing. I have an older brother, and he would get in so much trouble. And eventually, my parents were like, "Well, he's gonna do what he wants. Like, as long as you do it at the house, like it's okay." So, it was like
that's what I teach my son too. Like, don't be smart. You don't want to be driving and doing this.
Exactly.
Do your thing in the comfort of your own space.
That's dope. I love that for you. That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So e-com, I think it's so cool that you said, like, I'm not even going to go brick and mortar. I'm going to go e-com. And quite honestly, I think e-com is one of the best things to happen for African-American entrepreneurs because it eliminates a lot of the like, I wouldn't say red tape, but a lot of the barriers to entry. That's what I'll say. Yeah. Because in California, I have my sister-in-law, she has a tax company. She has a tax company in Texas. She has a tax company in California. She shut the tax company in California down because the rent was high, the employees' staff was high, and compared to what she was doing in Texas, it was just way easier. But e-com makes it even easier. And so what I think is cool that you took your business and you're like, I'm not even going brick and mortar. I'm going straight e-com. What was the mindset in that?
And people ask me all the time, like, when are you going to open this store? I'm like, never.
Right. Why you need a store? Stores are ghetto.
Never happened. I'm like, we're moving away from that. I feel like that is just the old way of doing business. Like you got to pay attention to trends. Like everything is going digital. It has been going this way. And e-commerce is lockdown proof. During the pandemic, a lot of these dispensaries were shut down. We took off like literally rocket fuel. And that, for me, I like freedom. I like flexibility. Yes. I want to have low overhead costs. And with a store, you can only reach people right in your area code for the most part. With an online store, I can ship to people nationwide. I can 24/7. So I don't want to have a ceiling on my income, a limit to how many hours per day I can make money. And it is no barrier to enter the market. So brick and mortar, listen, I do calls with people. I know so many people, for one, who started stores, they closed down. On the phone with people who, oh man, I've invested over $50,000 into the business, not making any sales. They're stuck. For one, a lot of people jump into this space because it's hot right now. It's very trendy. Yeah. However, they're not in it. It's not passion. It's not purpose. They don't even know about CBD like that or about health and wellness. So they don't know how to sell it. Right. So anybody can open a store, but can you educate people when they come into your store about what they need and why they need it?
Right.
So a lot of my customer base is like, I have mature women for the most part. And I do have a lot of guys who buy too, but they don't have the desire to go to a store. Yeah. They want to know that, hey, I trust you. You've educated me on it. And this is where I prefer to get it from. I literally have people that say it's CBD stores all around me, but I'm only going to buy it from you. Yeah. So I just feel like you limit yourself with brick and mortar. You're chained to the business. It's expensive. And, why would you want to put a ceiling on your income?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how.
No, one of the things you said that was really cool is, and you didn't really say it, but you said it. And it's that, like, you don't really sell, you just live. So it's like, I'm just living and I'm doing these things. And by doing those things, that sells. And I think that's so true for me. Like, I just live and I post the things that I post. I tweet the things that I tweet. And people know what I do. With Michelle, the same thing. She just lives and it creates sales. It creates attraction. It creates awareness. And I think that's really cool. Shout out to e-com. Yeah. What you got, Michelle?
Yeah.
I just think it's dope how you kind of I'm just still stuck on the fact of how much like brand authority you have. Like how I'm looking at your Instagram and I'm just seeing how, earlier me and Charles were talking about how to create multiple streams within one niche. Like you don't have to have different streams everywhere, but you can have your CBD sales and you can have your gummies and you can have, the papers and you can have the recipes, and you're literally just taking what you know best, monetizing all of your genius. Right. and just putting a price tag on everything and saying, listen, we're going to do impact and invoices. Like, I just love that. And once again, you know, just you being a Black woman in that space, I think that's really dope. And you're a mom. So you have so many different people that can relate to you now. And the way that you're authentically living in your truth, like, I'm inspired because I'm like, you know what? Who knows, you know, you don't know what you may untap by, you know, opening up a part of your life. And I think it's important for us to tell our story and to be, you know, the pandemic turned people to be very like cold. People want interaction. They want to feel like they know you, like they know your life. And you do a really, really great job because I'm over here like, I need to buy some gummies. Like, so kudos to you. Definitely.
That's what I feel like it's all about. Like, it's so much fake. You know, so many people just capping and trying to do what other people are doing. And it took me really going through a journey of self-awareness and aligning with who I am and just being like, you know what, I got to just show up this way. Like 5 years ago, I wouldn't even wear my hair like this. You know, I'm like, oh no, my hair needs to be straight. It needs to be, if I'm gonna go live, I need to get my makeup artist over here to do some makeup. Like the moment I said, F all of that, I still remember the first video I posted of myself smoking. I got so many comments on that post and so many DMs with women that were like, oh my God, thank you so much for, I smoke too. Thank you so much. Like, wow. Like it just kind of opened the floodgates. And I really feel like that's the secret sauce to set yourself apart really in any space. But when it comes to cannabis, you know, I took my friend's advice and said, you know what, I will be the queen of this, to where if you think about cannabis, you think about CBD, you're thinking about me. And like you said, just digging, continuously digging deeper into this instead of trying to do a million different things. So it's like I have a store. Now I mentor people on how to get into the space and start their own stores, you know, doing like infused retreats. That's where I'm going next with it.
Love it. Yes.
Right? People together and we learn about not only health, but wealth as well. Cause I'm very passionate about both. Like I love educating on health and wellness, but my background is in business. That's how my mind thinks. So I feel like the two actually come together, that Black people need to be educated on both of these topics. Because this is where we're lacking at. You know, we have more death from diet related illnesses than anything else. Right. And then, you know, I come from poverty. I'm a first generation entrepreneur. Like, you know, I'm sorry, there will be after me, nobody doing GoFundMe and things like that to scrape by when I'm gone. I'm like, I want to set people up. I want to set my son up, my nieces and nephews. So I feel like the two things come together, health and wealth. This is where we struggle at the most in our community, in my opinion. So I really want to be able to help people with both sides of that.
So earlier you mentioned that you wanted to go into digital products, but you're like, okay, I'll do physical products. And honestly, I've struggled with physical products in part because I've seen how lucrative and how easy the digital products can be. Right. But how are you able to successfully do physical products with e-com, especially doing the volume that you're doing?
Well, to be honest, I started with digital products. So my expertise, and I had already been through like some high ticket coaching programs. Like I said, knowing how to put together funnels, automate systems and things like that. Like that was really my jam. So prior to me getting into CBD, I had an online course. I had a membership program where people were paying me monthly for like health coaching. So I really took my knowledge from being on the digital product side and applied it to e-commerce. So like I said, when I first started selling CBD, I didn't even have a website, but I had an email list.
Yeah.
That had already been building for years. So that's literally how it started. I sent one email.
So did you create like a funnel for your physical products as well?
You know what? That's where I'm going next. Because I don't run any paid traffic. So everything I do is organic, because you can't run. Well, my ad account is literally disabled. I cannot run ads at all, period. Because I've had pages deleted since I got into this space. Facebook deleted my original Facebook account where I had like almost 20,000 page likes, have been investing in ads for digital products for years. That whole account got deleted, never could get it back. My Pretty Women Love Cannabis original page got deleted last year. working on getting that one back, but still don't have it back. And just last week, my personal page got deleted and I was able to get it recovered. So, it's a lot of red tape around marketing in this space.
Man, there's a lot of red tape around marketing in general. You pretty much can only sell like sunglasses.
Oh my God. It's so, with health and wellness, it's so ridiculous. And now with CBD, I see people running ads and I'm like, this is crazy that my ad account was shut down. I never even tried to run an ad for CBD ever.
Yeah. That's crazy. But
first put my mentorship program together, I wanted to run ads to my coaching offer. No mention of CBD in my ad copy, anything. Could not get my ads approved. Then they just disabled the whole account. So I just had to get innovative. And my biggest thing, I do a lot of email marketing and I go live. I do a lot of content. I educate. So YouTube, a lot of people find me on YouTube. And I feel like for people that are in the cannabis space, YouTube is wide open. So is LinkedIn. Somebody else from the cannabis community put me onto LinkedIn. And I'm like, that's the last place I would have thought.
Right.
LinkedIn is very cannabis friendly. They have a huge cannabis community. Get a lot of opportunities to speak about it from there. Even have had people buy products from me from LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is very cannabis friendly.
Yeah, that's interesting. In terms of like inventory, shipping, you just like sit down and just hammer it out? Because I hated that part of physical products.
That was why I ran from it and never wanted to do it. I'm like, no, I never want to have inventory. I'm not packing orders. So my son does handle that part of the business. He is over shipping, packing. He counts the inventory. I check over, but for the most part, that's what he does. And he does a great job.
Yeah. Cool.
She got the family in it. I love to see
this family business.
So awesome.
My son, unpopular opinion. I told my son, listen, the choice is yours. I'm not drilling college into your head because I got the degree and really could have skipped it.
I feel the same way. Like, I'm going to give him the option. You want the money or you want to go to college? What do you want to do?
Right. So my son is an artist. He's into music and he's entrepreneurial just like me. So now he's going to get the shortcut. Yes. He's understanding how to do e-com, putting funnels together and things like that. So he's learning how to do this step by step. So he wants to start his own store with apparel. So yeah, I'm like, no, what we're going to do is get you some coaching. I'm going to coach you, but we're going to get you some mentorship. So we're going to skip the 4 years and going into debt for no reason, in my opinion, so I'm really big on teaching the youth about entrepreneurship as well. I'm actually going to be creating a curriculum for African-American students, especially in like high risk type situations, at risk youth, like showing you how you can literally take anything you have passion for and turn this into an online business.
That's amazing. Wow. I'm inspired. I'm ready to go focus again and get back to work. That's amazing though. I love how you're incorporating your family and you're really making it like normal. So that's dope.
What is the common myth about the CBD space?
The biggest thing is people group it all together. So the biggest people are like, well, is it going to get me high? Is it going to show up on a drug test? The biggest myth to me overall with cannabis though, is that it's considered a drug. That's still the thing that I don't like because it's not a drug. So that's one of the biggest, I would say, questions I get about CBD though in particular. Is this going to get me high? Is this going to show up in a drug test? And for the most part, the answer is no. I've never had anybody, to my knowledge, fail a drug test using the products that I retail. And something that a lot of people don't know is a lot of companies, they're testing for THC, right? So CBD, hemp has a trace amount of THC in it. The legal limit is less than 3%. So it's like, that's really not enough to show up on a drug test. But I always tell people, you're consuming at your own risk. You shouldn't have an issue with it. But if you do, I'm letting you know beforehand that possibly it could, but I have truck drivers. I even have people on probation who use it and they've never had an issue. So
that's really dope.
Crazy.
Military people. Yeah.
Gosh, that's so crazy. You learn something new every day. I'm sitting here taking it in like, wow, I did not know any of this. And I think that's really awesome. So like, when do you do your retreats? Like, how often do you do them?
So I actually haven't had one. The interest is just there. People ask me about it. I've done like some polls with my audience. I already know the location where I plan to have the first one, but again, y'all, I'm a digital entrepreneur, so I'm not gonna lie. Coming offline, that scares me a little bit. I'm like, I can do my thing online, go live, do workshops, bring people together online, but that's me. How I'm gonna push myself outside of my comfort zone. So my desire is to do my first this year, but I just want it to be very well put together. So I recently met a great event planner, so we're going to start mapping this thing out. So my goal is to do one last quarter of this year.
Love it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do it.
Because I want to know, because I'm going.
Right.
That is all I'm going.
I have a wait list though put together. I did a post about it back in February on my page because I went to Tucson, which Arizona is one of 19 states where cannabis is fully legal, recreational. They have dispensaries. You can smoke, light up anywhere you want. So I had never been to Arizona, and the vibe there was just amazing. It was so peaceful and just like beautiful. I'm like, wow, this would be a great place to have a retreat. And I took a poll, and I probably had 200 people comment on this post, people DMing me, hey, I'll pay you. I will pay right now. Like, can I pay right now? So I'm like, let me put it together. When it's done right. So that I know that's where I want to have it at. It's just a matter of lining up the dates and getting all the details together.
Yeah. In current events, I'm pretty sure you saw the Brittany Griner thing, how she's in Russia and they're trying to keep her there. And I think she had CBD. Did you see that?
I heard about it. People tag me and stuff like that all the time.
What's your take on that?
Ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's like, are you kidding me? Like, again, going back to the fact, this is not a drug. All right. A person can travel with cigarettes.
That's crazy.
You can drink liquor on the plane. It's like, this is just crazy to me. And it's just politics. Like, and that's what I don't like about it. It's crazy when the situation happened with Keba Richardson. So many people text. I don't watch the news, honestly. That's a part of my self-care. I do not watch the news like at all, period. So a lot of people were tagging me in it, and she should have knew the rules. She knew the rules. And listen, the rules are flawed because you have cannabis in the same category with other illicit drugs, and it's not a drug. So I feel like that was totally ridiculous as well. Yeah. Totally ridiculous. And it's just idiocracy. That's what I call it.
It was kind of bad timing to be in Russia when like Russia's at war and they're being sanctioned by the United States. It's like, so like, even if it was something they would normally let go, it's like, we're going to kind of fuck with Americans right now.
Yeah. Right. And they weren't even trying to put her in jail. They're actually trying to make her go to a work camp.
Yeah.
Which is like crazy to me. I'm like, they're trying to put her in a work camp. Cause I think that like everyone's head is in the wrong space right now. So it's just like, it's wild that there's somebody that's American, that's fake, a celebrity that's stuck in jail and nobody, like what happened when, you remember when Young Savage or the rapper, he was stuck somewhere and they went and got him and they helped him. It's like
they did that petition for him and they sure did.
If he was a man in the NBA, would it have been different? Yeah, it probably would have. So
yeah, I think it's ridiculous. I know within the States, because I've actually done a video on this, I travel with it all the time. Not internationally though. I travel with it like anytime I'm going to Denver next month, I will definitely have CBD in my bag. So I always travel with it throughout the United States. But internationally, laws are different everywhere. People reach out to me asking like, do you ship to the UK? You ship here? And I'm like, no, I only ship within the US because I don't know the laws everywhere. And it's really different country by country. So in some places, hemp and CBD is still not legal.
Yeah. What's your biggest challenge in the business right now? And how are you going to overcome it?
My biggest challenge right now, which I don't really want to call it a challenge, is just right now, I am in the process of starting my own branded products. So right now I really retail products of cultivators I've built relationships with who have really great products. So I'm working on my own product, which is CBD tea. I did a run last year. We dropped it on Mother's Day and it like sold out immediately. And I have not restocked it since then because we did everything in-house. And I was like, I'm not working this hard. This is too much. I have to find somebody who can produce the tea for me at the volume I'll probably need it at, where I don't have to do this myself. But the biggest thing that I know I need to do, and it's just scary for me, is to move the business out of my house. Like, I know I need a space now. And so I'm like, oh my God, how am I going to do all of this and still run the coaching side of my business? And then I'm also an author. I released my first book in 2020, right when everything shut down. So at the same time, the CBD store took off. So I kind of put the book on the back burner. So I'm relaunching it again. I did a revised edition. I'm going to relaunch again in June. So it's just a lot of things that I have going on. And I'm like, I know I need to get a facility to run the store from and really take myself out of the day-to-day operation. So that's my biggest thing right now.
Have you looked into a fulfillment center? Do they allow CBD at fulfillment centers?
Drops like for somebody to basically take on the fulfillment, sending it out. It's a lot of people are funny about CBD. So I contacted a lot of people like, no, we don't do CBD. There are some, but I'm all about my bottom line. So right now I'm able to employ my son, and I look at it like, well, if I get a facility, I can actually employ people instead of outsourcing it and cutting into my profit margins by allowing somebody else to take over the shipping and fulfillment. So I just think that keeping it in-house and just allowing somebody else to take over it is the best option. Yeah.
It's interesting because when you keep it in-house and you have an expense, it's not really an expense. It's like you're just shifting the income. Where you take it outside of the family, now you actually you're taking an L a little bit. So
you also control the quality.
Few companies I did, I'm like, my mind, I was like, no, I ain't paying. I'm not paying. I'm not doing that. That's crazy. It's like, it's not worth it.
What's one thing about this business that you didn't expect?
So much red tape around everything. So like you mentioned Shopify. Honestly, Shopify was not a platform that was CBD friendly. I know people who got their stores shut down. Now, I think they've opened it up, but banking, payment processors, all the red tape around marketing, like literally no Google AdWords, no Facebook ads, no YouTube ads, like nothing. Like I just really didn't expect for people, like this is considered a high risk industry, which is ridiculous to me. Like this is considered high risk.
That's crazy. That is crazy.
I just didn't expect, even with influencer marketing, like, I use a lot of influencer pages, and so many pages, no, we don't do CBD promo because we may shut their accounts down, limit them from like being able to go live and things like that. So it's been a lot of doors closed. I'll put it to you like that. And I feel like you really got to have thick skin and be very resourceful to be in this space and be successful.
Yeah.
So what is one thing for anybody that wants to get into this space? What is one thing you would encourage them to do first?
You need to be educated on CBD, because if you cannot educate your audience, it's going to be very hard for you to sell the product.
Yeah,
I agree.
And me coming from having a holistic health and wellness background where I was educating around, eating healthy, using herbs and things like that to improve your health, I knew that was the gap that I was going to fill in this space, because I sat back and said, nobody's doing this, nobody's doing that, nobody's doing that. And so I feel like that's the biggest thing. You got it. And even I do calls with people that want to be in this space, but I'm like, do you use CBD? No, I don't use it. I don't really know about it. So you got to be knowledgeable.
Yeah.
I love that.
One thing I like about your story, and I think a lot of people who are listening to this should understand, is like, if you want to be successful, if you want to see that stuff, that kind of numbers, that kind of success, find something that nobody else is doing. Find that niche, find that lane. But after somebody's found that lane, don't be like, oh, that's the lane. It's like, no, back to the drawing board and find another lane.
Yeah.
You're going to find success. I didn't know anybody who was doing any cleaning coaching or cleaning business before Michelle. Like Michelle was it. It's different now, but before that, it was just Michelle, and that's what she had the success that she had. Nobody was talking about options before me. Now options lit. And so people who are watching this, that's the takeaway. The takeaway is find a unique space where you can be authentic, where you can show up every day, where you can just live and market through your living. So
can be in alignment with who you are. And like you said, it's real passion behind it because it's what you're actually doing.
Right.
Some people just want to mimic and wonder why, or they're just chasing the shiny new things. Instead of, I tell people, listen, don't chase opportunities, get into alignment and let your thing come to you and then pursue that. So I think you're absolutely right that I feel like that's the best way to find success in any space. And definitely you got to have a defined niche.
Yeah.
I feel like that's another issue with this space. A lot of people, you don't know what you're doing. You're just trying to hustle. I don't believe in side hustle, side businesses. It's like you either go full throttle or don't do it at all. And you know, if you're not in alignment with it, you're gonna give up when it gets hard.
Yeah.
What is one thing about CBD that almost nobody agrees with you about?
That's a good one.
That is. I'm like,
Good one.
That nobody agrees with me about? I don't know. I gotta think about that for a second.
It is a tough question because like we don't really care if nobody agrees. We just had to just promoting our vision.
Dang, I'm stumped now. I'm like that nobody agrees with me about. I'm not going to say nobody agrees, but I don't think people really understand where this industry is going. How big, like this is the tip of the iceberg. A lot of people don't understand that hemp is one of the most sustainable materials to build from. Like we haven't even scratched the surface on what's going to happen on like the industrial side with hemp and CBD, like when houses and buildings and clothes are being made from hemp. So that's what I think. I'm not gonna say people don't agree with me, but people just really don't see where this industry is going and how big it is.
So,
and that this is the cannabis, we're gonna see $1 trillion industry like literally unfold. Like how the gold rush happened. This is the green rush right now in cannabis.
Green rush is lit.
I like that.
It is.
So I give up alcohol, but I still be stressed. and I don't want to I don't want something that's going to change the way that my mind kind of does things. But would you recommend CBD to kind of bring down the anxiety and
absolutely
mellow me out?
CBD is naturally naturally going to relieve anxiety. It's not going to impair your judgment. You're not going to get high. You'll be able to focus better. So
I need focus better. That'd be good.
For anxiety, we actually have a focus tincture, which is an oil. Have a calm tincture. I use it every day. That's what I start my morning with. I do black seed oil and I do a CBD tincture. So it's that's depression and anxiety, like the number 1 and 2 reasons why people use CBD. So I have like countless testimonials on this from men and women.
It's lit.
So definitely, and even just as an entrepreneur, we have to deal with a lot. It's a lot on our minds. It's a lot of moving parts.
Too many moving parts.
Shut your brain down. So just like Michelle said, it's an essential part of navigating your journey as an entrepreneur. So I would definitely recommend a CBD tincture for you to help you with anxiety.
We lit. That's what we're about to do.
For sure.
Awesome. Well, what's like the best way for somebody to, I guess, figure out what's a good product for them?
With CBD is not one size fits all. So everybody is different and everybody is using it for a different reason. So some people use CBD like me. I don't really have a particular ailment. Sometimes I, of course, have anxiety. Sometimes it's hard for me to shut my brain down, but I use it to be proactive. Stress and inflammation, these are the 2 root causes of really 99% of all diseases, right? So me knowing that both of my parents have autoimmune diseases, it's like, let me be proactive. Let me take my CBD daily. So it's in my system. It's naturally going to reduce inflammation. It naturally brings calmness to your mind and body, because we have a whole system in our bodies, guys, called an endocannabinoid system. Doctors literally don't even learn about the endocannabinoid system. So the responsibility of that system is to maintain harmony and homeostasis within your body. So we have things like anxiety, depression, bipolar disorder, because we're out of balance. So the CBD helps bring that balance back, right?
That's so crazy.
So I tell people, if you have insomnia, it's not really insomnia. It's really anxiety at the root of that that's making you not be able to go to sleep. So you got to handle that. So the CBD is going to alleviate the anxiety. Now you're going to be able to sleep. So I have people that are like, I haven't slept in 15 years. They start using CBD. It's like, listen,
Yeah,
I'm like a baby, right?
that's crazy. That's so dope.
CBD it naturally has antidepressant properties, naturally anti-inflammatory. So the way it interacts with your system, your endocannabinoid system, it brings everything together in harmony. So that's why I say everybody should be using it. Like, it's one of the best things for anybody who's dealing with mental health disorders, PTSD, ADD, ADHD. I even have parents who reach out about like, hey, I have a teenager who has ADD and they want to put my child on XYZ. And I'm like, listen, I'm pro cannabis. I'm pro natural. I say, do it. You feel best. But if it was my child, I would give him CBD.
So before I let you go, I have a post on your Instagram and I want to get both you and Michelle's take on it, because I think you both can relate. And it says, being pretty was never enough. I have to be paid and respected too.
Yes.
Period.
All right.
I mean, yeah, that's basically it. The statement is the statement.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But is that like a motivation for you? Because I mean, it's easy to settle on just being pretty. You can get a lot of things for being pretty. But I feel like there's also a certain level of like dependency that comes when you get things for being pretty. Mm-hmm. It's like, then, okay, now I got to have somebody else deem me pretty and also deem me to buy things and take me places and all those other things, give me clothes or whatnot. But it's like, I don't want that. I mean, it's like, that's the icing on the cake. Like, the hustle is going to get you the cake. And if you happen to get some pretty privilege, it's like, all right, that's cool. I didn't need it, but that's cool.
Right.
I think for me, like, my face gets me in the room. I look good. I speak well. I have a very good essence about me. Like, my energy is always on point. So that in itself, it's really when I open my mouth, that's when people fall in love with who I am, because it's like, she's pretty and she knows what she's talking about. Like, she's a hustler. Like, you know, I'm all of those things. I'm beautiful. I'm smart. I run businesses. I run my household. I do all those things. So, you know, being pretty to me that's the extra. Like, that's the cool part. It's like, I do all of these dope things and I look good. So that's what it is for me, you know?
And I will just go off of what Michelle said, because it's the same for me. I feel like we live in a society where, of course, you know, pretty privilege does exist. You see what I'm saying? For me, though, you can't rely on being pretty, because it's beautiful women everywhere, for one. Yeah. And like, why would you want to put your well-being, your life, and what you do in the hands of somebody else? Like you said, you want to get things, you want people to take you shopping and support your lifestyle because you're pretty. But it's like, there's going to be somebody else prettier. It's pretty people everywhere. So how you can't rely on that. And I feel like being pretty, you know, in the way the world views pretty, because I think everybody is beautiful in their way. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But we live in a society where we already know what time it is. Yep. If you look a certain way, you got a certain type of texture of hair, the world is going to put you on a higher level, right? So for me, I'm like, okay, I feel like it's a blessing to be beautiful, but I'm going to use that for good. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, it's going to open up doors for me, but I'm not going to rest on that. No. My vibe is good. My energy is good. I'm very, very smart, very wise. And I'm always willing to share. So it's like, that is what is going to take you further. Pretty is just not enough, because what is that? you could be pretty but very ugly on the inside. So
definitely
that's just not enough for me. And I think a lot of times too, when you are pretty, like people make a lot of assumptions about me. Like literally people will assume, oh, a dude must have put her on. And that has been such a perception placed on me throughout my life. Like, oh, I'm this gold digger, and yeah, she probably has a dude that takes care of her. And I'm like, that's never been the case. Like, I've always had my own thing going on. Like, I became a mom at a very young age. I raised my son, never was able to put him off on anybody, graduated from college. And I'm like, I've never just been able to rely on being pretty. Like, I've always had to do my own thing. So I just feel like, too, as a woman, it's very, like, straight egotistical to just believe that you deserve things because of the way you look. Like, that's crazy to me.
I mean, and I can
to date a baller or to drive this because I'm pretty. Like, what is that? What is that?
I feel like I've made more money. I've made better relationships offering value than offering a pretty face. Like, I'm going to show you the value, because obviously you want to talk to me, but I want you to keep talking to me, and I want you to give me opportunities, and I want to build. Like, I think it's all about your mindset too. A lot of females, like they're not really in the right space to know what they want. Like they think they want this lifestyle, but I don't think they really understand what goes into it. And so I would rather reserve the respect and build my own and do it how I've been doing it. Like, power to you, girl. Cause listen, I don't got time for that. I can pay for myself. I don't need it. Like, you're just extra. So
it's like, it's crazy. And I feel like too, right now, just with where society is with social media, with a lot of the music, that women are just really got it backwards. Too much profanity on the podcast, but I cuss. I also cuss a little, like that voice where that's on TikTok. But I think that just feeling like you should be able to elevate in life solely because you look away, it's ridiculous, and that you need to get into alignment with your purpose. Find a way to add value, because that's going to take you way further than the way you look. Yeah. And pretty is fleeting. You could be pretty today and anything can happen, and you're no longer beautiful. Like, so.
But they can't take your skills away.
Facts.
I do have to wrap, because I just realized I'm double booked, and I got the mastermind waiting on me. I'm late, and they wanted me to start multiple meetings at the same time. So, I mean, I'm sure you guys got a ton of value, especially that last little segment was going in. Can you let people know where they can find you, where they can follow you, and where they can purchase some CBD?
Absolutely. I want to say thank you again to you guys for inviting me to come on. I had a great time. I am Keba_Richardson on Instagram, Keba Richardson on Facebook, Keba Richardson on LinkedIn, Keba Richardson on Clubhouse. The YouTube channel is Pretty Women Love Cannabis. You can order the highest quality hemp and CBD products at www.pwlc.store. If you have questions, you need help with product recommendations, we have a ton of YouTube videos that educate you on the best products based on what you desire as your outcome. And you can always reach out to our chat support from our website if you need us to further assist you.
Well, thank you again for coming on. I learned a lot. I'm going to get me some CBD. I'm going to try this thing out, see how it works. And Michelle's going to continue to get her CBDs.
I can give you a discount.
Both of you. Yeah, because I'm going to buy some, like, I have it pulled up. I'm ready for the focus. Like,
yeah, I need some focus too.
Send me a DM though really quickly. So I'm going to send you guys, I'm going to discount code that both of you guys.
Listen,
all right. We'll make sure we have all your links inside the show notes as well. But definitely appreciate you.
Yes, thank you for coming on.
All right, you're welcome, guys.
For another episode of the Millionaire Talk Show with Miss Michelle Welch. Is Miss, so she's
not
single,
married yet,
y'all. She's single and she gets respect. We're out. See y'all.